This is my technical study for the BA3 Specialist performance. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at rhythm guitar in the style of Jimi Hendrix. So what I'm going to be doing is looking at two different shapes that are based on the basic bar chords, but they're a little bit different, allowing you to add other notes in, mainly from the major scale. So the first shape I'm going to look at is a variation of the E-shaped major bar chord that's normally rooted on the low E string. But what we're going to be doing is rearranging this so that we're missing out the two bottom notes, which is the root note and the fifth. And we're going to be rearranging it so that we're only playing the four highest strings. Now when we do this, this allows us to have another finger, with the pinky, free, to add extra notes in from the major scale. So the first note or chord variation we're going to look at is the suspended fourth. So this involves taking the pinky and placing it on the G string. In this case, this is a G major bar chord I'm using for this example. So we're going to be placing it on the 5th fret. It's a half step above where the major third would be. So that's the pitch change there. And then the next note we can add to this is the major 6th, which is on the B string in with this particular shape, which will be 2 frets above the 5th, which in this particular case of G major is D. The next note we can add is the major 2nd, or in this case would be a 9th, because it's above the octave of the root note, which is the lowest note on the D string. There's 2 frets again above the root note, which is on the 3rd fret on the high E string. And basically, I'll just give you a quick example of how you could use this using this shape. So I'm just going to take a basic chord progression, which is C, G, F, back to G, So basically throughout that chord progression what I'm doing is using these notes to embellish the chord, and it can also be really effective for creating a sort of melody movement throughout your chord progressions as well. It gives it a little bit more variety as well, especially if you're playing in a one guitar band scenario. It allows you to really fill out the spaces between the chords, and it allows you to do a lot more than just be stuck in a strumming pattern as well. I'm going to move on to the next shape now, which is based on the A-shaped major bar chord, which is rooted on all the notes on the A string. I'm going to be using just a C chord for this quick example. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be switching the shape up quite a bit, and then instead of playing the C on the low A string, we're going to be using this finger instead of playing it on the low note to fret the 3 higher notes, which in this case would be on the 5th fret, on the D, the G and the B strings. So these notes would be G, C and E. And then we can add on the D string the major 6th, and then we can add on the G string, we can add the major 2nd, and then there's 2 notes actually on the B string with this particular shape that we can add. One of them is a sus4, so we're using the 4th, which is a half step above the 5th fret with the E note on the 5th fret. And then we can also add the 5th as well, which is a minor 3rd or 3 semitones above that E note in that original chord shape. I'll just give you a quick example of the different sounds you can get from this. So essentially what we have here is we're building a major pentatonic shape around this chord. We can also add a couple of notes in, which lead from that variation shape to the low C note. So if we start with the basic normal bar chord shape, we can use this note here to slide. So this is going from D, sliding up to E, which is the major 3rd, into this shape. So we can actually build a full major pentatonic shape around this. So if we start C, D, E, then to G, A, back to C. If we play it in the next octave, this other note here, which we can add, is the root note, the octave of the root note from the note on the G string. We're playing on the E string, 3 frets up, which is just basically a way to, you can fill out the sound. You can use some arpeggiation to bring out a little bit more high end. So I'm going to use the chord progression from the song Hey Joe as an example, just to demonstrate these two different shapes. So the basic chord progression just would be C, G, D, A, E. You can also see it's very effective as well for using between your open chords, because it just basically allows you to add sort of more notes in you may not necessarily get with your open shapes as well, and gives you sort of like different textures and tones that you can utilise throughout your chord work.